there's a lot of different scenarios, so it differs for different people, but essentially you want to track your visitors. You want to track what they are doing on the site. So you're very interested in the average time that they stay on the site. That's one of the parameters you can get on AdWords. If you see visitors are dropping off in half a second or something, then they're obviously not interested in this site. You've got to do something about it. You can track their progress through the site. You can set what they call conversion goals up in analytics. So for example, if your site is selling one product with a buy now button, your goal is to get somebody to actually click onto that buy now button. So you can track their progress through your website in order to see them getting the buy now button. You want to track where the visitors have come from, because then you'll know, are you getting traffic from your pay-per-click campaign, are you getting natural search engine traffic, or are you getting traffic from a link that somebody else has on their site that points back to your site. So the people statistics are things you definitely want to start tracking. As I mentioned earlier, you might also want to track where those visitors are from. If you're selling a product, or if you have something that's specific to this area, or specific to Canada or to North America, you want to make sure that the majority of your visitors are coming from those areas and not coming from overseas, because they're really not doing you any good if your product is located over here. There are, of course, a number of other parameters that you can track other than visitor parameters. There's something called a bounce rate, which is basically the number of people who just land on your site and just leave. And you're going to want to keep that low, so you can start looking at the different pages on your site. And if you see the bounce rate goes to an alarmingly high place, then that's time to start looking at that page and saying, why are people leaving this page, etc., etc. Literally every page on your site should have a goal or something to it. If you're at our first meetup, I called it the desired action. The goal could be just to jump from this page to another page like your store. The goal could be to sign up for an email list. The goal could be to buy a product on the page. Obviously there's pages like privacy policies and about pages whose only goal is to actually exist because they need to be there on the web. But you want to make sure every page on your site is performing to its optimum. So the statistics that tell you what people are doing on the page and how long they're staying on the page can be very valuable. Statistics, again, like what kind of browsers they're using may not be that valuable to you, but to know whether they're on a mobile platform or not, extremely valuable information. So those are examples of a few of the things you can track with Google Analytics. Another thing you can do with analytics is what they call split testing. Split testing can be done, quite often this is done with a sales page. Let's say you have a single sales page and you want to see, is this page performing at the optimum? Maybe you've got a page with a video and you're thinking, would the page with a video be the best thing to have? Or would a page with a bunch of long text be a better thing to have? What you can do as a split test is you can get yourself a couple of Google AdWords. Make the AdWords identical to a T, like the exact same headline on the same body text, but point them at the two different pages. Point one to page A, one to page B. In this example, they show you page C as well. Go and see what the conversion rate on those pages are. Use your analytics to find out, okay, after I run these two different campaigns and get, let's say, a reasonable amount of traffic, 100 people, 500 people on this site, there should be a very real difference between the two pages. Whatever page is winning, that's the page you want. And then you can continue to do the split testing. Some people do it to the point where they just change one thing. They change a headline. They change a font color or something like that. A color may make a huge difference to you too. You might have done your page up in red because you love red, you think it's wonderful, but then you find out that in our society, red is being associated with danger and warning and stop and stuff like that. You might find you get better business just by changing your page to blue. So by doing a split test is a very good way to find out the real results of that. You can also use Google Analytics with other analytics products. What I mean by other analytics products, I won't get too deeply into this because I know Vaughn's going to be covering social analytics, and I'm sure he'll cover a few things on this. But I've illustrated over here both Pinterest and YouTube, which have their own analytics products. You can use their data in conjunction with the data you get in Google Analytics to really find out how your marketing efforts are working. For people who have very visual products, you might find you're getting wonderful traffic on Pinterest. and you'll find that on Pinterest Analytics, plus on your own Google Analytics, because when you see the source of the traffic, the source will be Pinterest. So you can use this to find out whether your other efforts are actually responding as well too. So use the analytics on Pinterest, on YouTube. There are a number of analytics products that work with other social networking things as well, so you can see if that works out for you. And last but not least, I'm just going to leave you with a couple more resources that you can use to learn a little bit more about analytics. These are resources that you'll find on the web, and most of them, surprisingly not, are from Google themselves. Google Analytics support. Google Analytics help page is absolutely wonderful. It's very extensive. It goes through a lot of details, a lot of FAQs, etc. They'll literally handhold you through everything. There's text articles, there's videos, etc. So definitely this should be your first stop when you're trying to learn about analytics. Premium Analytics, if you've purchased Premium Analytics, again, you've got the support of your analytics rep, and definitely, you know, use that person. They're very knowledgeable. They've worked with this product ever since it came out, which is quite a few years ago now, and they can advise you on how to set it up. They can advise you on how to interpret some of the results you're getting from analytics and give you sort of a game plan, so that basically, let's say once a week you check out your analytics, check a few key parameters to see how your website is doing. The analytics training and IQ lessons are also on the Google Help page, and they're actually fantastic. You can actually do a full-fledged certification level analytics course for free on Google. They have a whole series of videos and lessons that you can go through, and they actually prepare you to get certified within analytics, and there's no cost to you to use these. The videos are just up on your site, and if you're willing to devote the time, and it might take you a couple of days to go through these things, you'll learn a great deal about analytics to the point where you'll be an analytics expert and you can install this for other people. And then finally, the Google Analytics blog is a great place to find out about the new features in analytics, because they are adding new features into Google Analytics literally every week. And the analytics blog gives you case studies of sites that have used analytics. It'll tell you about all the new features that Google has added into analytics. It's a great way to stay up to date on what you can do with analytics. And so with that, I hope that I've given you a brief but interesting enough introduction to Google Analytics. And I'll take any questions if anybody has any questions. Yes?
Benchmarks. Let's say, how would you know that your bounce rate is okay, for example?
Well, I mean, you have to establish a baseline, first of all, obviously. I mean, when you first put it on your site, that's a good point. When you first put analytics on your site, these numbers are not going to make a lot of sense to you because you haven't seen your traffic and everything. If your bounce rate, though, is something like 70% or something, I'd say you definitely have a problem. It means 7 out of every 10 people who land on your website are disappearing. Ideally, you'd like that number to be as low as you can, but for any of these benchmarks, really what you have to do is run with analytics for a couple of weeks, get an idea of where your baselines are, and then go and take a look at any warning signs. And also some of the resources I just gave you over here will help you interpret those results a lot better. The help screens will go into detail about it. But you know, I'd say, for example, on a bounce rate, when you get above the 50% mark, I would certainly be looking at that. It means every second person is leaving the website. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Wow, that's a first. One question. That's fantastic. Oh, actually, no. Is that a question back there? Yes. Oh, yeah.
So for change, let's say when you were mentioning the window in the store, local store.
Right.
So the change that happens on the equivalent on the website, does it make a difference if it's a home page? If you change something on the home page or somewhere in the back?
Well, keep in mind again that when we're doing our websites with analytics, with SEO and that, we really are targeting individual pages themselves. I used the home page as an example because I said the home page was the equivalent of the storefront window. And that's why I was using the home page as an example. And so if you have people landing on your home page and they're not moving into your store, then that's definitely the page you want to start looking at. If it doesn't have if it has a very high bounce rate on that home page, then you definitely want to say, okay, this is the page people are coming to. I want to make some changes. But it would apply to every page. People may not arrive on your site on the home page. people may be linked to your site by something else. Maybe your SEO is working so that one of your other pages is actually doing better in the Google rankings for your keywords than the home pages. And they may arrive on this other page. And again, you can use those analytics statistics to say, okay, are they staying here, are they leaving, are they doing the desired action? And if they aren't, go make one little change and see if that has any effect. You know, maybe get the opinion of a few people, why do you think people aren't staying on my page, and then make one change. But like any science experiment, don't go out and make 20 changes, because that's not a good experiment. You'll never know, 18 of those changes might have been bad and 2 of them might have been great. So the results went up even though they could have gone up a lot more if you hadn't touched those 18 things. So just try to do 1 or at the most 2 little adjustments at a time. And then give it a little while. After you work with it, you'll get kind of a baseline. You'll get a feel for how long it takes before you start seeing significant changes. If you see your bounce rate immediately start to drop or something, you know you're doing something right. Yes, do we have anything else? Okay, well that's wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for sitting here patiently in this hot day. It's glad we finally have some spring weather over here. So again, thanks, and in about 30 minutes we'll get Vaughn up over here to do his presentation on social analytics. So.